Let's step back in time to the legendary Old West, a place where myths and legends were born. Today, we're embarking on a journey into the extraordinary life of a woman who left a mark on American history. She's none other than Annie Oakley, remembered as one of the sharpest shooters of her time and a true icon of the Wild West. Born in 1860, Annie Oakley, whose real name was Phoebe Ann Mosey, rose from humble beginnings to become a symbol of the rugged, adventurous spirit of the American frontier. Her incredible skill with a rifle and her fearless personality made her a household name. A woman who could shoot with unmatched precision, often outperforming her male counterparts. Annie Oakley's tale is not just about marksmanship. It's a story of resilience, talent, and breaking barriers. As we unravel her life story, you'll discover how a young girl with a rifle in her hands became a legend, captivating audiences and challenging the norms of her era. So, sit back and let's explore the fascinating life of Annie Oakley, the deadliest woman of the Old West. Imagine a young girl in the woods of Ohio with nothing but her keen eye and a trusty rifle. This was the world of Annie Oakley, born in 1860. A time when life was tough and luxuries were few. Young Phoebe Ann Mosey, who would later be known as Annie Oakley, started her life in a cabin, the sixth of 8 children. Her childhood was far from easy, marked by poverty and loss. By the age of 6, she had already faced the heartache of losing her father, a blow that would shape her life. But in these woods and fields, Annie found her calling. With a rifle in hand, she learned to shoot, her aim guided by necessity and survival. She wasn't just good, she was extraordinary. By the age of 8, she was hunting and selling game to support her family, proving that she could shoulder responsibility far beyond her years. Annie's skill with a rifle quickly became more than just a way to put food on the table. It became her ticket to a different life. Word of her remarkable shooting spread, and soon she was no longer just a young girl from the woods. She was Annie Oakley, a name that would echo through the halls of history as a symbol of strength, skill, and the indomitable spirit of a young woman who refused to be defined by her circumstances. From these humble, challenging beginnings, Annie Oakley would rise to become a legend, a story of how a young girl's talent with a rifle opened doors to a world far beyond the forests of Ohio. Our story now takes a pivotal turn as the young Annie Oakley steps into the spotlight, not just as a skilled hunter, but as a rising star in the world of sharpshooting. Her journey to fame began with an unexpected challenge, a moment that would forever change her life. In her teenage years, a shooting match was arranged between Annie and Frank Butler, a well-known marksman. This wasn't just any competition, it was a test of skill, precision, and calm under pressure. Frank Butler was confident, a seasoned shooter, but he had never faced anyone like Annie. On the day of the match, the air was filled with tension and excitement. Spectators gathered, curious about this young girl who dared to challenge a professional. Annie, with her rifle in hand, was calm and focused. As the match began, it was clear that this was no ordinary shooting display. Shot after shot, Annie matched Frank, not missing a single target. In the end, to the amazement of all, she outshot Frank Butler, winning not just the match, but also his heart. Frank was so impressed and smitten by her talent and grace that he soon became her husband and manager. This victory was more than just a win in a shooting match. It was the start of Annie Oakley's journey to becoming a legend. She and Frank joined Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, where Annie's skills would shine brightly, captivating audiences far and wide. Her name became synonymous with sharpshooting, and her legacy as a remarkable woman in a man's world began to take shape. Annie Oakley's rise to fame was a testament to her incredible talent and a reflection of her determination. From a humble hunter to a star performer, her story is one of courage, skill, and the power of believing in oneself. As we journey further into the life of Annie Oakley, we find ourselves in the heart of her career, a time filled with remarkable feats and unforgettable performances. Joining Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, Annie transformed from a skilled marksman into a global sensation, dazzling audiences with her extraordinary talent. Picture this, a packed arena, eyes wide with anticipation, waiting for the show to begin. Then enters Annie Oakley, petite yet commanding, her presence alone silencing the crowd. With her rifle in hand, She performed feats of shooting that seemed to defy the impossible. She could split a playing card edge on and hit distant targets while looking through a mirror. But perhaps her most famous act was shooting the tip off a cigarette held in her husband Frank's lips, a daring display of precision and trust. Annie's performances were more than just entertainment. They were a display of skill and artistry. Her ability to hit any target, no matter how small or how far, earned her the nickname Little Sure Shot, a title bestowed upon her by none other than the legendary Chief Sitting Bull, who also became a dear friend. But Annie Oakley's impact went beyond the arenas and shooting ranges. She was a pioneer, challenging the norms of her time. In an era when women were often sidelined, she stood as a symbol of strength, proving that talent and determination know no gender. Annie inspired countless women, showing them that they too could aim high and hit their mark in life. Her career was a collection of moments that left audiences in awe and inspired a generation. Annie Oakley, the sharpshooter from the woods of Ohio, had become an international icon, a woman whose name would forever be etched in the history of the American West. In a world where the crack of a rifle was often echoed by the voices of men, Annie Oakley stood as a beacon of change. Her journey was not just about hitting targets, it was about shattering expectations and challenging the gender norms of her time. Annie Oakley was a trailblazer in every sense of the word. In the late 1800s, when women were expected to stay within the confines of traditional roles, Annie carved out a space for herself in the male-dominated world of sharpshooting. She proved that skill and talent knew no gender, breaking barriers and paving the way for future generations of women. Her advocacy extended beyond the shooting range. Annie was a vocal supporter of women's rights, particularly their right to self-defense. She believed strongly that women should be independent and capable of protecting themselves. This belief led her to offer free shooting lessons to women, a move that was both empowering and ahead of its time. Her advocacy extended beyond the shooting range. Annie was a vocal supporter of women's rights, particularly their right to self-defense. She believed strongly that women should be independent and capable of protecting themselves. This belief led her to offer free shooting lessons to women, a move that was both empowering and ahead of its time. Her advocacy extended beyond the shooting range. Annie was a vocal supporter of women's rights, particularly their right to self-defense. She believed strongly that women should be independent and capable of protecting themselves. This belief led her to offer free shooting lessons to women, a move that was both empowering and ahead of its time. Through her actions and her life, Annie Oakley didn't just entertain, she enlightened. She transformed perceptions and left a legacy that went beyond her sharpshooting skills. In Annie Oakley, women found a hero, a role model who showed the world that a woman's place was wherever she set her sights. As we reflect on the life and times of Annie Oakley, it becomes clear that her mark on history extends far beyond her days in the Wild West show. Annie's legacy is a tapestry woven with skill, courage, and a pioneering spirit that continues to inspire even today. Annie Oakley's story resonates across generations, not just as a tale of an extraordinary sharpshooter, but as a narrative of a woman who defied the odds. Her legacy lives on in the many ways she has been remembered and celebrated in popular culture, from books and movies to plays and musicals. Her image as a fearless and skilled woman in a rough and tumble world has made her a timeless icon. But perhaps Annie's most significant impact lies in the way she challenged the stereotypes of her time. In an era when women were often underestimated, Annie stood as proof of what women could achieve. She broke through barriers, not with brute force, but with grace, precision, and an unwavering belief in her abilities. Annie Oakley's life story continues to inspire and empower. She is a reminder of the power of determination, the importance of breaking boundaries, and the potential within each of us to challenge the status quo. Her legacy is not just in the shots she fired, but in the path she opened for those who followed. As we conclude our journey into the life of Annie Oakley, we are left with a sense of awe and respect for a woman who was not only the deadliest shooter of the Old West, but also a trailblazer who forever changed the course of history for women everywhere. As we close the chapter on the remarkable story of Annie Oakley, we are left to ponder a thought-provoking question. How do the stories of trailblazers like Annie influence our own lives today? In a world vastly different from the one Annie knew, Her legacy of courage, skill, and breaking stereotypes still holds profound significance. She reminds us that no barrier is too high and no stereotype too ingrained if faced with determination and belief in oneself. Now, we turn to you, our audience. What lessons can we draw from Annie Oakley's life that apply to our modern world? How can we, in our own ways, challenge the norms and make a mark in our fields? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's continue the conversation and keep the spirit of Annie Oakley alive in our discussions and actions. And if you've enjoyed this journey through the life of a true American legend, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating stories. Your support helps us bring more tales of history's most inspiring figures to life. Until next time, keep aiming high and shooting for your dreams, just like Annie Oakley did.